The Ship of Fools, Episode 123, Trial of the Heart. The Shadow Quest drifted through a region of space known as the Shattered Belt, a labyrinth of drifting stone monoliths and ancient ruins. The crew had been tracking a faint distress signal for hours, weaving between jagged asteroids that glowed with faint iridescent layers. Banning stood at the helm, posture steady, eyes scanning the shifting debris. Moxie watched him from the weapons console, arms folded, expression unreadable. The ship's AI, Aurora, flickered beside them. "Commander, the signal is growing stronger. It appears to be ceremonial in nature." "Ceremonial?" Banning asked. "Not a distress call," Aurora clarified. "An invitation." Snipes leaned over the railing. "Invitations are bad. Invitations mean someone knows we're here, and if someone knows we're here, they probably want to kill us." Moxie nodded. For once, he's not wrong. Banning exhaled. "Bring us in. Impulse power." A massive ship emerged from the asteroid fog, a vessel carved from obsidian and bone, its hull etched with glowing runes. It moved with the slow, deliberate grace of a predator that had never known fear. A booming voice echoed through the comms. "Human vessel. We summon your champion." Moxie's hand drifted toward her blade. Banning raised a hand. "Hold!" The voice continued. "We are the Cartour, keepers of the Trial of Blades. Your ship has entered our sacred territory. To pass unharmed, you must offer a warrior to face our rights." Moxie stepped forward. "I'll go." "No," Banning said. She turned sharply. "Commander, this is a diplomatic encounter. They expect a leader." Aurora flickered. "Commander Banning is correct. The Cartour respect hierarchy above all else." Moxie's jaw tightened. "You don't have to do this." Banning gave her a small, steady smile. "I know, but Snipes is still eating his lunch." Snipes gulped down the rest of his sandwich and looked up in a panic. "Did someone say my name?" Banning turned and stepped toward the airlock. Moxie watched him go, her expression cracking for just a moment. The Cartour vessel's interior was a cathedral of stone and fire. Warriors lined the walls, their armor adorned with trophies from 100 battles. Banning stood alone in the center of a circular arena, lit by a ring of molten light. A massive warrior stepped forward, wielding a blade the size of a starship strut. The announcer roared, "First trial, strength of steel!" The warrior charged. Banning didn't meet him head-on. He sidestepped, letting the blade crash into the stone floor. The impact shook the arena. The warrior swung again, a sweeping arc meant to cleave a man in half. Banning ducked under it, rolled, and struck the warrior's knee with the pommel of his borrowed blade. The giant staggered. The crowd murmured. Banning pressed the advantage, not with brute force, but with precision. He struck joints, tendons, pressure points. The warrior roared in frustration, swinging wildly. Banning stepped inside the arc, hooked the warrior's arm, and used his momentum to flip him onto his back. The arena fell silent. Banning placed his blade at the warrior's throat. But he didn't strike. He stepped back. The warrior stared at him in disbelief. The announcer thundered, "Victory! Through restraint!" The crowd erupted. Banning was escorted to the second arena. It was a labyrinth of shifting stone walls, lit only by faint blue torches. The air was cold and damp, carrying the metallic scent of old blood. Aurora whispered through Banning's comm. "Commander, this arena is designed to break the mind. Opponents will stalk you. The walls will move. The environment will test your instincts." Banning nodded. "Understood." He moved through the maze with quiet precision, marking subtle patterns in the stone, listening for the scrape of armor or the whisper of shifting walls. A warrior lunged from the darkness. Banning dodged, using the narrow corridor to limit the attacker's movement. He disarmed him with a twist, then knocked him unconscious with a controlled strike. Another warrior attacked from above, dropping from a ledge. Banning caught him mid-fall, redirected his momentum, and sent him crashing into a wall. He kept moving. Hours passed. The maze shifted. The torches dimmed. Banning's breathing grew heavy, but his focus never wavered. At the maze's center, he found a wounded Cartour warrior, young, barely more than a teenager, bleeding heavily. The warrior whispered, "Leave me! Win your trial!" Banning knelt beside him. "I'm not leaving anyone behind." He tore strips from his own uniform, bandaging the wound. He lifted the young warrior onto his back. He carried him through the maze. When he emerged, the crowd gasped. The announcer's voice trembled. Victory, through compassion. The final arena was a vast chamber lit by a single beam of white light. In the center stood a Cartour elder, holding a ceremonial blade. "Commander Banning," the elder said, "the final trial is not of strength or survival. It is of the heart." A holographic projection flickered to life. Moxie, bound, kneeling, head bowed. Banning's breath caught. "This is an illusion," the elder said, "but your reactions will be real." The projection spoke in Moxie's voice. "Chris, don't! You have to leave me here." The elder raised the blade. "Strike me down and you win, but the illusion will suffer. Show mercy, and you lose the trial." Banning's jaw clenched. The elder stepped closer. "Choose." Banning closed his eyes. He saw Moxie's face, her strength, her loyalty, her quiet, unspoken devotion. He lowered his blade. "I won't harm her," he said. "Not even a shadow of her." The elder studied him. Then he knelt. "Victory! Through love!" The arena erupted in thunderous applause. Epilogue. The confession. He doesn't say out loud. The Shadow Quest was quiet that night. Banning stood alone in the observation lounge, staring at the stars. His knuckles were bruised, his uniform torn, his body exhausted. Moxie stepped in silently. "You shouldn't be up," she said. He didn't turn. "Couldn't sleep." She moved beside him, arms crossed. "You passed their trials." "Barely." "You carried a wounded warrior through a maze." "Instinct." "You refused to strike the elder." "Principle." She hesitated. "And the last trial?" Banning finally looked at her. His voice was quiet, raw, honest. "They asked me to choose between victory and hurting you, even an illusion of you." Moxie swallowed. "And you chose?" "You," he said. "Always you." The words hung in the air like a fragile truth. Moxie's breath caught. Her eyes softened. Just for a moment. She stepped closer. "Chris," she whispered, "you didn't have to." "I did." Silence, not awkward, not tense, just full. Moxie looked away first, cheeks faintly flushed. "You should rest." Banning nodded. "Yeah, I should." She turned to leave. He watched her go, and for the first time in a long time he let himself feel it, the truth he carried into every battle, every trial, every impossible choice. He loved her, above all else. The stars shimmered quietly outside the viewport, and the Shadow Quest sailed on. The corridor outside the observation lounge was dim, lit only by the soft blue glow of the night cycle lights. Moxie walked quickly at first, boots striking the deck with sharp, controlled precision, the pace of someone trying to outrun her own heartbeat. Halfway down the hall, she stopped. Her hand pressed against the wall. Her breath caught, her eyes closed. She replayed his words in her mind. "You, always you." She swallowed hard. Moxie wasn't easily shaken. She had faced monsters, assassins, warlords, and things that didn't have names. She had survived battles that should have killed her. She had endured pain that would have broken lesser people. But this was different. She opened her eyes and forced herself to breathe, slow, controlled, the way she did after a fight. Except this wasn't a fight, this was the truth. She turned and walked, not toward her quarters but toward the training deck. The doors slid open, revealing the empty room, lit by a single overhead lamp. She stepped inside and let the doors close behind her. The silence pressed in. She drew her blade, not to fight, not to train, just to hold something familiar. Her reflection stared back at her in the polished metal, strong, composed, unbreakable. But her voice, when she finally spoke, was barely above a whisper. "Chris, why did you say that?" The blade trembled in her hand. She lowered it. Her chest tightened, not with fear, but with something far more dangerous. She sat on the edge of the training mat, elbows on her knees, hands clasped. Her eyes burned, but she refused to let anything fall. She wasn't built for softness. She wasn't built for confessions. She wasn't built for the kind of love that made a man choose her over victory. But she felt it. She felt it every time he looked at her with that quiet steadiness. Every time he trusted her without hesitation. Every time he stepped between her and danger, even when she didn't need him to. She whispered into the empty room, "I don't deserve his love." Silence answered her. She closed her eyes again, and in the privacy of the dark, where no one could see, she let herself admit the truth she would never say out loud. "I love you too." A soft chime echoed from the hallway. Aurora checking on her. Moxie wiped her eyes, stood, and sheathed her blade. Her expression hardened back into the mask she wore for the world. She walked toward the door, but before it opened, she paused. Just for a heartbeat. Just long enough to whisper, "Not yet, but someday." The doors slid open, and Moxie stepped back into the ship. The warrior again, the mask restored, the truth tucked safely behind her ribs where only she could feel it. The training deck doors slid shut behind Moxie as she stepped into the corridor, her expression once again composed, her breathing steady, her heart only mostly under control. She turned the corner and nearly ran straight into Snipes. He froze mid-stride, holding a data pad covered in neon-colored stickers and what looked suspiciously like scorch marks. "Moxie," he said, eyes widening. "Are you okay?" Her jaw tightened. "I'm fine." Snipes squinted at her face like he was trying to solve a puzzle with only two pieces and both were the wrong shape. "You sure?" he asked. "Because you look, well, you look like someone who just ate my leftover specialty chili." Moxie blinked. "What?" Snipes nodded gravely. "Yeah, that's the exact expression people get. The 1,000-yard stare, the trembling hands, the I've seen things I can never unsee vibe. I didn't eat your chili." "You'd remember if you did," Snipes said. "Most people cry or hallucinate or briefly forget how to read." Moxie stared at him. Snipes leaned closer, whispering, "Did you, maybe, accidentally inhale some? Because even the fumes can trigger emotional episodes." Moxie's left eye twitched. Snipes gasped. "Oh no, you did inhale some." "I did not inhale your chili." He nodded sympathetically. "Denial is the first stage." Moxie took a slow breath. "Snipes." "Yes?" "If you mention chili again, I will throw you out the nearest airlock." Snipes straightened. "Ah, irritability. Stage 2. Moxie stepped forward. Snipes stepped back. Okay, he yelped. "I'll go get the antacid spray." He sprinted down the corridor, nearly tripping over his own boots. Moxie watched him disappear around the corner. Aurora flickered beside her, voice soft. "He is incorrect, of course." "I know. But he is trying." Moxie exhaled. "That's the problem." Aurora dimmed thoughtfully. Would you like me to delete all chili-related recipes from the ship's database? Moxie considered it. Yes. Aurora vanished. Moxie turned toward her quarters, the faintest hint of a smile tugging at her mouth, despite everything. The shadow quest drifted onward, carrying one commander who had bared his heart, one warrior who wasn't ready to speak hers, one AI who saw more than she said, and one man who believed emotional turmoil could only be caused by leftover chili. End of episode 123. The missions of the Shadow Quest, the Ship of Fools, will continue.